Welcome to a brand new episode of the Bold Take Podcast. I'm Austin Hill, and with me, as always, is Austin Wader. And we are back talking a little NBA action. We'll have some little other stuff sprinkled in there, but mostly focused on the NBA. The finals are wrapped up. A king is crowned, and for the first time in over 50 years, the New York Knicks are on top of the NBA. Jalen Brunson, Finals MVP, the only Knick to ever score 40 points in a finals game. This series was absolute cinema, if you will. Sitting down and watching it, I know it was only a 5-game series, and they're going to be the detractors, but these were 5 incredibly close games. But let's not even hold our tongues here. Let's just get into it. I think we can say the biggest thing now that this series is over and we've seen how all these games played out in a very similar fashion. I know we talked about it in our last episode about how the first 3 games were a carbon copy of each other, and I felt like, I kept going back to that point, but it couldn't be further, it couldn't be more true about these games. The way they went was almost exactly identical. And that continued on into games 4 and 5. And I think really what we learned was as good as the Spurs were, as dominant as they were, the Knicks were able to hang in there and get through those lulls at the start of the game and work their way back and then take over in the second half. And what we saw from the Spurs is that as talented, as dominating as they can be, when they have a team that is that resilient and starts to charge back, once the Spurs get into a little bit of a funk, they're still a little young, still a little immature, not exactly sure where to go with it. It felt like in those moments when they started to struggle, they didn't know how to get out of it. And that's what really helped push the Knicks up and eventually win this series 4-1. But I just thought it was phenomenal resilience, and just for the first time really all postseason, we saw the inexperience of the Spurs kind of in these big moments kind of hurt them. And that even goes to some of their vets like De'Aaron Fox. But your thoughts just on the whole series overall?
One of the best 5-game series I will see in my life. Again, like I kind of said on Usher, it's up there with 2024 Pacers Celtics Eastern Conference Finals, where it was a Celtic sweep, but pretty much every game, I think except for game 2, was down to the wire. Anyone could have won, and it was anyone. And we'll dive more specifically into each team in a minute. So I will say overall, like you said, we saw a Spurs team. We hinted at it in the finals preview too. We're like, this is a team that's super young. This is their first playoff run with these teams together. And we wondered, when was it going to show? When was that super young team going to show up? Like I said, we thought it happened against the Timberwolves or the Nuggets. We thought, hey, these are teams that have been far in the playoffs. They got them. Nope. We thought it'd be the Thunder, the defending NBA champs. It wasn't them. And instead, it was the New York Knicks that did it. Like I said, congrats to all the Knicks players and coaches. There's all kinds of stories for each one that we'll dive into in a sec that I won't dive into too much detail. But I'm really happy for them, and they earned it because the Spurs had a double-digit lead in every single game. Just to kind of
Yeah.
overall summarize this series, the Spurs led by 12 plus in every game, Austin, and they had a lead or the game was tied in the final 2 minutes of every game. So, like you said, 5-game series, this was great basketball, down to the wire. Every single game had us glued to the screen. Maybe not for the entire game, game 4, but down the stretch, certainly in game 4. So,
Yeah.
it was a great series. I know the 5-game series makes it seem like it wasn't a great one. This is one of the best final series we've seen in recent memory.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fun, and obviously the league, 8 straight new champions.
Love that.
It's something that I think is great for the NBA. To go on to your point about the Spurs, I believe I saw a stat also. The Spurs led for 69% of the NBA Finals, and to only have won one of those games is truly kind of the flabbergasting part of that whole scenario. But I messaged you as soon as it was over. I think this is the best possible outcome
Yeah.
that the NBA could have gotten. because now you look at the New York Knicks, and New York is on top of the world. Your big markets are starting to kind of gear up in the right kind of way. LA had LeBron. Now they've transitioned into Luka Doncic, and they look like they've got a bright future. And then you look in New York, and now obviously with the championship ring, Jalen Brunson with the Finals MVP. This team's on cloud nine. They're somewhere they haven't been in quite some time as far as a national stage. And so this really kind of gears them up with some of these bigger organizations within the NBA to kind of start turning a new leaf and being back on top, but also for your teams that were the best teams in the NBA this year, and two incredibly young teams that we think are going to be the future of the NBA in the Oklahoma City Thunder, who were the reigning champs, and the San Antonio Spurs, who are now the runner-up this year in the NBA. Now they both have room to grow. We talked about it, and maybe prematurely, the boxing matches and the scruffs we're going to have between these two teams for the next decade, between Wemby and between Shea. But obviously, we learned from both these teams there's a lot more room to grow, and they can still be beat. But that is better for the NBA. We're going to see a better Wemby, a better Stephon Castle, a better Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, a better Jalen Williams. We're going to see these two teams, if they're really the competitors and the talents that we think they are, they're going to work their butts off this offseason. And I said this as game 5 was starting to wind down, and the Knicks were starting to get control, and it started to look like the Knicks were going to be hoisting that Larry O'Brien at the end of the game. I looked over to my girlfriend and I said, man, I am so terrified of what Wemby looks like next season. Wemby going down in 5 games, coming back next season. I don't know how I don't feel good about it. I'm really terrified of what the league might have to deal with. And so I think this is going to be awesome for the NBA. You've got your top cities at the top of the world right now, your old classic organizations. And then you've got these teams fueled by your young future stars who are going to be ready and better than ever next season. It's going to be much-watched television for the NBA. But let's spin into some of these stories and talk about the San Antonio Spurs and kind of what this offseason looks like. Obviously, like I said, I think guys like Wemby, Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, these guys are going to bust their butts this offseason. But obviously, with a finals performance like De'Aaron Fox had, the conversation has come up. People saying De'Aaron Fox has to go. Dylan Harper is the future. And I'll start off by saying my piece here. I get where you're coming from. Dylan Harper, phenomenal. He's got to be in the starting lineup. I don't disagree. But to throw De'Aaron Fox by the wayside after one bad playoff series, I think is a reach. Yes, he took some shots he didn't need to take. Yes, he made some pretty big mistakes, but he's not the only player on this team to make mistakes. By that margin, Wemby's pass at the end of game, what was that? 3-4, 3-2, something like that?
I think it was game 2. And also 2 missed free throws at the end of game 4 by Wemby that could have stretched that lead out.
So, I mean, just by that logic alone, mistakes in the finals that cost teams games, Wemby should be on the trade block. Obviously, that's such an exaggeration, but that's my point. De'Aaron Fox coming in at the trade deadline last year completely shifted the course of what this team could do. They made the playoffs last year. This year, he helps them make a push. I think the solution to me is simple. Devin Vassell goes to the bench. He's a great player, but he'd be a great piece off the bench to pair with Keldon Johnson. Extra scoring off the bench. Dylan Harper can play the 3. He's got the size. We saw the way he used his body. He's not going to play small. And just like Stephon Castle and just like his dad, he's a gritty, physical defender.
Yeah.
You can put him on anybody, and he's going to be all right. Him, De'Aaron Fox, and Stephon Castle, good luck scoring on those three in a starting lineup. I think De'Aaron Fox had a tough series, and it stinks to have your worst series in the finals. I think a major overreaction to this is trade De'Aaron Fox this offseason. If he comes in the next season and it's still not working out, and you can't find a way to make it work, and maybe he finds his way out of the starting lineup, then I can see the conversation for let's make a move at the deadline or close to the deadline. But I think to say, oh, hey, you've done so much for us over the last year and a half. You have 5 bad games, and we had several people have 5 bad games. Oh, or, not necessarily 5 complete bad games, but moments where they had Wemby made mistakes, Castle made mistakes, even Dylan Harper in his great moments made mistakes. Champagnie, all these guys, nobody is absolved of their mistakes in this game and in this series. To go ahead and throw De'Aaron Fox by the wayside just because it's easy and just because it's what people want. Fans are notorious for overreactions.
Oh, absolutely.
I've had my fair share.
Same.
I think right now the biggest mistake you could make is to ship De'Aaron Fox off before giving him a chance at redemption, especially with the type of talent he is. But your thoughts on the De'Aaron Fox situation?
Well, let's also, I like us diving into this Spurs one first and then giving the Knicks credit. I do like that because, again, this is the major storyline from these finals. And here's the thing I get, and I agree with you. Anyone saying that overreact, let's remember, De'Aaron Fox in Sacramento played in the actual playoffs one time.
Yep.
De'Aaron Fox isn't this big veteran that has tons of finals experience, playoff experience. He came to San Antonio to get those opportunities. That's the whole thing people are kind of forgetting about this. Now, look, I'm going to be the one. I was one of the ones when he shot that layup in game 4, I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
It was a bad play. It was a bad play. I completely agree.
It was a bad play. And, I'll dive, more into it in a second. I put a lot more blame on Mitch Johnson than I do on De'Aaron Fox. That's just me personally on it. But here's the thing with De'Aaron Fox. Like I said, me and you were saying, I think I texted you 3 times during game 4, and you text me, we're like, dude, Dylan Harper's so freaking good. We were just sitting there texting each other like, this guy's a superstar in the next 2 or 3 years. So now, the obvious caveat is, like you said, you cannot go into next season and Dylan Harper not start. I mean, that's a non-negotiable. He is starting next year. It's just like you said, what about the rest of the lineup? We know Wemby's starting. We know Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper are starting. There's 2 kind of question marks there. You have Keldon Johnson come off the bench. You have Devin Vassell and De'Aaron Fox. I could see an argument for that 3-guard lineup there. I wouldn't hate it. We've seen teams use it before. The Thunder have done it. The Knicks have gone small ball during these finals, and that was kind of led to some runs for them. Here's why I don't know if that's going to happen, though. Let's remember, De'Aaron Fox signed that 4-year, $230 million extension. That kicks in next season. Starting next year, he's making $49 million. Then $53 million, then $57 million, then $61 million. And you can look at it one way and say, well, the Spurs have all these young guys under cheap contracts, and that's fine. They can work with that. I agree. You could make it work with that. But you could also say, man, after that performance, do we really want to pay him nearly $50 million next year? I mean, so there's arguments for both sides on it. To me, again, I don't think you try to tear down a team just because you lost in the finals. I'm going to take a quote from Dan Campbell, my GOAT in the NFL. You know it well. We talk about it. I mean, I'm sure we'll say it for years. We'll be like, oh, Wemby's going to be back. Spurs are going to be back. You know what? Doesn't this remind you of another team that was in OKC that had 3 guys that went on to win league MVP? We thought, oh, they're going to be in the finals every year for sure. They never got back. I feel confident, and I'm sure you do too, that Wemby and this Spurs team is going to be back in the finals at some point. But it's not a guarantee. Dan Campbell's thing's right. This may have been their only shot. We don't know. But to overreact to it by trading Fox, now if someone offers you otherworldly deal for De'Aaron Fox, take the deal, obviously. But if you don't, why ruin the team chemistry? Why try to ruin that for a team that in your first playoff run you made the NBA Finals? So I agree with you on that.
Yeah, here's my thing, and you brought the point of the salary, and it is obviously going to be something that's talked about. Unless you have somewhere else to spend that money, which right now they don't, like you said, barring some insane offer, that money's not going anywhere else.
No.
They're not probably not going to. I mean, here's the thing: to sign a free agent with that money, you have to offload De'Aaron Fox first, and so you have to have a certain guarantee that some big name in the free agency is going to sign with you. And off the top of my head, I can't really think of. I mean, I know LeBron will be in the free
But come
agency.
on. I mean, come on.
How legitimate LeBron is going to consider teams outside of LA and Cleveland, I don't really know. I know there are talks, obviously, of the Warriors want to make a play.
Dude,
Some
I,
rumors that
I've heard
I've
some
seen.
weird rumors about the
We'll
Warriors.
sit down probably just after the draft and discuss some of these things that have been flying around.
Yeah.
If some of them haven't unfolded already,
Dude, if some of these rumors, I think we're talking about the same ones with the Warriors and then the
yes,
Miami Heat. And them. If some of these happen, like we that act like the rumors are, we're gonna have plenty to talk about over the next couple of
yeah,
weeks.
absolutely. You're 100% right. So that's stuff we'll get into. But I don't know how much stock I put in that. Obviously, James Harden, while not officially signed, because he can't be officially signed, has seems like come out from Cleveland that he is going to return there. So I can't think of a ton of huge names that would demand all of that money that you could get right now that I think would make your team better than having De'Aaron Fox at his best. Um, but look, yeah, obviously maybe something could come up, something big. Now, here's a trade proposal that I saw, and it was laughably bad. Who says no? And it was a deal. It was Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo to the Spurs for De'Aaron Fox. Why on earth would you trade De'Aaron Fox for Julius Randle? I like Julius Randle, and I get what he might be able to add to the Spurs lineup. But if we're talking about playoff stinkers,
Oh boy,
Julius Randle just had a bad postseason,
against the Spurs. Yeah.
and he's also demanding that much money. So
Hmm.
here's my thing: if the crime De'Aaron Fox has committed is that he had one bad playoff series this postseason and he's making too much money, then why would you
Hmm.
trade for Julius Randle, who just had two bad playoff series?
And let's factor in Dante DiVincenzo's coming off a ruptured Achilles. He ruptured his Achilles in the playoffs. You don't know what he's going to be like for your team. You don't know
What I
that.
also don't think the people were considering in that trade, not that it necessarily makes the trade make or break for me, because I wouldn't trade De'Aaron Fox for Julius Randle. Dante DiVincenzo is a free agent, so the Timberwolves can't trade him anyway. The
It'd
Spurs
have
could
to
just
be a
sign
sign
him.
and trade, if anything. Sign and
Yeah.
trade.
I don't think that would happen. I think sometimes people just think they're throwing out a deal that makes sense. It doesn't.
Mm-mm.
If the only reason you trade De'Aaron Fox, and the only reason you trade De'Aaron Fox, and anybody who watches basketball and has any legitimate claim to basketball will agree, the only reason you would trade De'Aaron Fox is because he played bad in the finals. He's not a cancer.
Mm-mm.
He hasn't caused problems. He's been good. He's been a help, but he had a bad finals. If that's your catalyst for trading him, trading for a guy who had a worse postseason and making the same money does not make sense.
The closest thing I can think to that where it's even come close to working out was the 2016 finals where Harrison Barnes, let's say like it was, ladies and gentlemen, did not play well. So the Warriors like, oh, we'll just sign Kevin Durant really cheap. You're not going to find that kind of situation coming in here at that point guard position. Plus, also, again, you have Dylan Harper here. So exactly what are you going to get for that? Now, again, like you said, the thing I like you said is if you're in the next season and you're having a hard time finding a spot for Fox, like he doesn't want to come off the bench, or they don't like the three guard lineup at the deadline, feel out offers, see if you can get some depth for a team for the playoff. I get that then. But to go off of one NBA Finals and really, again, like I said, it's to me, it's more on Mitch Johnson because Mitch Johnson kept on calling plays to put the ball in his hand late in the game. I don't know why he was doing that. I also don't understand taking Stephon Castle out or Dylan Harper out over him in late game situations. That's but that's beside the point. But the overall takeaway from this, all these trade rumors and stuff, this is a very young Spurs roster. Like we said, the three main pieces aren't even 23 yet. You need some veteran pieces on this roster. And even though that was his first true playoff run, De'Aaron Fox is one of those veteran pieces that is going to help you. Because let's say it like it is. What if Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper get injured next year? And you trade away De'Aaron Fox in the offseason. Who's going to come in and run guard for you?
Yeah.
Again, I'm with you. I just don't, it doesn't make sense to move him unless it's like someone dropped a amazing deal from the heavens kind of thing. That's the only way you move him to me.
Yeah, I mean, sure, we're hearing rumors that the Celtics are kind of throwing Jaylen Brown's name around maybe to get some upgrades. Maybe you go Jaylen Brown. I don't think De'Aaron Fox for Jaylen Brown makes a lot of sense for Boston. But,
Mm-hmm.
Giannis is out there. Again, not a deal that really makes sense for Milwaukee. But, yeah, there are some names that it's like, okay, yeah, that you got to have that guy. But no, yeah, you shouldn't trade him just to trade him without seeing what next season looks like at all.
Absolutely.
But let's carry into you kind of hinted at it, and I wanted to share my piece on it as well. Mitch Johnson, for a guy who was phenomenal this year as a head coach, really made some mistakes I didn't agree with. Like you said, he stuck too much to his rotations in this. It's almost like he looked at the minute sheet for how much everybody's going to play, and he just stuck to that
Yeah.
100%. He didn't think about situational, who's playing. I mean, there were times in some of these games where when Stephon Castle had the hot hand, and all of a sudden he's off the floor. Dylan Harper's hit a couple baskets, and then all of a sudden he's off the floor. And like you said, bringing in De'Aaron Fox, who's struggling while these guys are playing big games. Now, I know Stephon Castle also struggled in the last game, but he had a 20-point performance earlier in the series, more what I'm referring to. Substitutions were kind of weird in this one for me, the way he ran his rotation. The thing I really didn't like was some of the play calling, and it was
Mm-hmm.
not just the De'Aaron Fox play calling, but the big thing that sticks out to me is Game 4. OG Anunoby has just hit this heartbreaking tip, but you get the timeout, you move the ball to half court, 1.2 seconds left, no goaltend on an inbound, throw the ball above the rim. No one can, there's not a person on the planet who can get as high as Victor Wembanyama can. There's nobody. And to me, it felt like the age-old trying to be too clever. It was Pete Carroll on the goal line
Yeah.
types of I'm smarter than you. And here's the thing. If it works, if Pete Carroll's little RPO screen pass in the Super Bowl works, that little slant is a touchdown. We're talking about Pete Carroll as one of the greatest minds
Yeah.
in the history of football. But it didn't work, and it was an unnecessary risk. And this is how I felt. And we saw this against OKC, actually, this same exact play run against OKC, where they tried this lob to Stephon Castle after the screen, and he wraps around. And it's like, in theory, if you execute it, nobody sees it. Absolutely nobody sees it coming. And you're like, Mitch Johnson, a genius. Unfortunately, and here's my thing. It'd be one thing if that was the first time they'd run it all playoffs, but they ran it the first time and it went terrible. It was a bad pass and it got blocked by Alex Caruso. To run that play again, I couldn't fathom a world where surely, even if Mitch Johnson doesn't know it, one of the 7 assistant coaches or 10 guys sitting on the bench knows that there is no. You're telling me Bismack Biyombo, who's been coaching up guys on the sideline the whole time, doesn't know that. You're telling me Keldon Johnson doesn't know. Somebody, And I'm not saying that they don't know, but the fact that somebody's not saying, hey, there's no goaltend, just throw it as high as you can above the rim because Wemby's going to get it. And he can just touch it. I mean, it
We've
was
seen him do it a million times where he just uses his force and just pushes it in. We've seen him do it a million times.
and you don't have to worry you don't have to worry about a goaltend. It can be as close to the rim as possible.
Might as well
He
just
doesn't have
lay
to
it right there. Just
Yeah, he
yeah.
doesn't have to worry about, oh, is it in a cylinder? Is it not? It doesn't matter. It can't count as a shot. Tap it, throw it right in the hoop, and let him just tap it in. It was a simple case of overthinking it. And it was just like that for Miss Johnson. He wanted to do these when they needed the ball in Wemby's hands, he drew plays to use Wemby as a decoy. And it's just as great as it would be to run a play and everybody think Wemby's got it, and then Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, De'Aaron Fox, Julian Champagny, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, the list goes on. One of those guys makes a big play. Awesome. But Wemby has to get the ball more in this series. He put Karl Anthony Towns in foul trouble in too many games in this season. Mitchell Robinson's a great defender, and I'm going to love talking about Mitchell Robinson here in just a second. But he was in a pickle. You're the best defensive center on the team, but Cat is hurt, or Cat is in foul trouble. You can't just go out there and be as physical, be as, get up in Wemby's face. You can't be as aggressive as you needed to be in that series. But instead, it's like, oh, Mitchell Robinson's off the floor. We got to run offense with somebody else. And it's just like the situational awareness and putting the ball in your best player's hands just wasn't there. I know Spurs preach team basketball, but even Pop put the ball in Tim Duncan's hands when they needed to go out and get the job done.
Look, basketball is not a complex game, ladies and gentlemen. Well, me and him talk about it all the time. We all talk about it. We could dive into X's. It's not a simple, it's not a difficult game. When the game is on the line, you put the ball in the hands of your best player and you live and die with that scenario. That's just end of discussion there. If LeBron James getting double teamed, am I still going to try to find a way to get LeBron James the basketball at the game on the line? Yes. I'm going to go to my guy in the situation. One of the ones I saw, it's funny. I rewatched Lakers Celtics Best of Enemies recently,
Yeah.
and one of the plays I saw them do near the end, it was the 1987 Finals game 4, where you have it set up where you have them clearing out the corner, Wemby or Larry Bird walking up and then fading to the corner, and he got off a clean. I mean, that's a simple situation where you're just trying to get space for your best player and get a clean look off. That's something you could have done with Wemby, because I guarantee you, Cat or Mitchell Robinson, whoever it is in that situation, is going to be fighting for position against Wemby. You clear him out behind, pop to that corner, let him shoot a fall away. If it goes in, great. If it doesn't, you got to your best player. Just like at the end of game 2. Did Wemby miss the shot at the end of game 2 whenever they went down 2-0? Yes. But they ran a play and Wemby got a decent look off. He just didn't hit it. It happens.
Yeah. It's like you said, it's simple. It's not complex. Sometimes when the moment calls for it, you've got to get it to your best player. It's one thing if your best player can't shoot, or in the case of this play, if your best player was a guard, you're like, well, it's going to be hard to get a lob to my guard. But when your best player is a 7'4" freak of nature who nobody can match athletically or with a basketball skill set, the way he handles the ball and shoots it, and all you have to do is put it up. I just don't know how you miss that opportunity. If he gets fouled and it's a no call, or he misses the shot, then everybody says, I come on here and I say, you went to Wemby, what can you do? But now people like me can come out and say, well, why didn't you put the ball in Wemby's hands? And I think we just had too many of those situations down the stretch in this finals. For the Spurs, it's going to be a tough offseason, obviously, but so young, so talented.
But I mean, like I said, we expect them to be back. That's the key thing. We expect them to be back. But like I said, we also expected the Thunder, led by James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, to be back there multiple times, and they never went back there. So we'll see what the future holds. It'll be interesting to see what they do this offseason. Let's remember, they've still got all their draft capital pretty much. The De'Aaron Fox trade, I think they gave up picks that weren't even theirs in that De'Aaron Fox deal.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to ship off a couple of these guys to make a move to get another veteran, the options are there for you. It'll be interesting to see what the Spurs do. But let's get to the team that's worthy of the discussion right now.
Yeah, and that's the New York Knicks, obviously overcoming the drought, 50 years in the making, a huge title. At the forefront of it all, Jalen Brunson kind of becomes this superstar for this team, elevates them to this incredible status, gets the job done. And he was just phenomenal. Even in games where he struggled shooting from the floor, he found a way to hit the big shots, found a way to make the big plays. Um, and it's just incredible to watch. Uh, gonna go ahead and toot our own horn a little bit here. I know we did it a little bit earlier, in an earlier episode, but I went back and I looked at the transcript, and I just couldn't believe how we kind of nailed this one. They bring in Jalen Brunson, and we talked about how, yeah, my three words were Knicks fans are complaining that they're not getting Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
But I think they're getting something that's much better for their team. And I just truly believed in Jalen Brunson, what he did in Dallas, and you felt the same way. What he did in Dallas just flew so under the radar. Luka Doncic missed substantial time in his last year there during the regular season and during the
Exactly.
postseason. And he put the team on his back and became a leader. This isn't out of nowhere for Jalen Brunson. For people who have watched Jalen Brunson, kept tabs on his career, this was the expectation. And that's why you and I were all like stoked to see the Knicks make this move 4 years ago. We thought it was a no doubt, no brainer, and now they found a real leader. And that's why it's no surprise to me and you that Jalen Brunson rises above in the occasion, rings the bell, and is the Finals MVP here in the Knicks' first title in 50 years. He's just been that good and that talented. And to go along with that, same offseason, they brought back Mitchell Robinson on his big deal. And we also had some points on that. We talked about how we liked bringing Mitchell Robinson back. He's been the defensive anchor for the team, and he's a good springboard, a good base to have on the team. His defense changes games. And the fact that they stuck by Mitchell Robinson in a league that's kind of, the type of center that Mitchell Robinson is kind of extinct in the
Yes.
NBA. At least it was for at that time. It seems to be kind of trending back into the NBA as these things do, trend up and down. Seems the, defensive, paint dominant big men is kind of making a comeback in the NBA. But in 2022, when he was signed to that big 4 year extension, um, it wasn't exactly that people didn't want him to come back, but it was kind of surprising because that type of big man didn't really generate that kind of money
Exactly.
value at the time. And so we were both big on that signing back, that re-signing as well. But with Jalen Brunson, he's just been so incredible. You talk about the Nova Knicks. Um, just your thoughts on these guys getting the job done here for New York, first title in 50 years.
Yeah. Again, I don't think there's been a take in our I've lost track of in our like 6 year 5 or 6 year history of doing this where it's aged any better. Like, I mean, you just felt so confident in it because we watch college basketball all go along with the NBA. And we watch this guy win multiple national titles at Villanova, be the leader on the best team in 2018. That 2018 Villanova team's one of the greatest teams in college basketball history. I mean, Brunson led, you had Bridges, DiVincenzo, but who was the leader getting the big plays down the stretch? It was Jalen Brunson. And then he goes second round, which to this day is still a crime that he went second round. I mean, let's just say it like it is. And then they make the signing for him, and I was excited. I know you were, and he delivered in this finals, especially the game 5 was just incredible because, ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks scored 13 points in the first quarter in game five. They scored 13 points. After that, Jalen Brunson said, "Get on my back. I'm going to get us an NBA title tonight." He had 45 points. The rest of the team had 49 combined. That is called, "I'm the star. You're getting on my back. We're winning this tonight." And it was so great for him. Uh, all kinds of guys I'm happy for. Karl Anthony Towns, the amount of slander that this man has been through in his career, and not to mention just the things he's gone through in his life during his NBA career. I mean, I couldn't be happier for the guy. I could not be happier that he's an NBA champion. Especially when you factor in again the history of some people saying you can't win with Karl Anthony Towns and this and that. But speaking of Jalen Brunson, Austin, I want to read you a quote. You love Becky Hammond, and I respect her too. She did have a quote here that I'm going to
Yeah,
say.
this was not good.
You got to have a one quote. You got to have a 1A dude, and the Knicks are missing that. Jalen Brunson is too small. If your best player is small, you're not winning. Stockton, Iverson, Nash, Steph Curry's the only exception. Steph Curry's 6'2", by the way, 6'2", 6'3". So I really don't know if I count that truly as a small guard compared to some of these other guys. But
Stockton, not the best player on his team.
yeah, Karl Malone won MVPs despite, whatever you feel about him on that. Steve Nash had Amari Stoudemire there to help him. There's always multiple pieces there. And what helped the Knicks? Karl Anthony Towns. And look, a guy I got to give credit to, Leon Rose, who came in, took over for the Knicks, I think in 2020, 2021, somewhere around there. And some teams build through the draft like the Spurs did. They built a lot through the draft. The Knicks built through free agency and trades, and that included getting the Nova Knicks, getting Josh Harden there, bringing in Mikal Bridges, trading for Karl Anthony Towns, sticking by Mitchell Robinson, like you said. Just making the right moves, and he's done it while pretty much not saying a word to the media, which is one of the things I respect. He's like, "I don't care, talk to me and update them. I'm just going to do my work behind the scenes. We're going to build a championship team." And that's what he's done here. So there's all kinds of guys that I'm happy for the Knicks. And one that I will shout out is a man who should still be a coach in Sacramento. That's Mike Brown. Just like Tom Thibodeau should still be the coach in New York. But things happen for a reason, and I'm happy for Mike Brown because he's another guy that's had some slander through his career, and now he's an NBA champion as a head coach. So there's all kinds of guys that were maybe considered underdogs or they'll never actually get it done, and they finally got it done this year, Austin.
Yeah, you brought up Cat, and I've been endeared to Cat for a little bit of time. It didn't always start like that. Coming out of college, I hated Karl Anthony Towns, hated Willie Cauley-Stein. I hated that entire team
That's fair.
because of Willie Cauley-Stein's form tackle that robbed Notre Dame of a Final Four appearance and the 2015 NCAA tournament.
Want it to be known, I picked Notre Dame to the Final Four that year. That was going to be one of my all-time greatest picks in that NCAA tournament.
Absolutely gutted. Demetrius Jackson was form tackled on a three-point shot that would have won the game. I stand by that till the day I die.
Mm-hmm.
But the way he came into the league, the way he's worked hard, he's been a treat to watch. And the way he played in these playoffs was phenomenal. And when they needed him to step up, he did. Look, not every game was Karl Anthony Towns' best game. But in those first two games, when they really needed to jump out and get the edge, and when Jalen Brunson struggled early in those games, who went toe-to-toe with Victor Wembanyama and rang the bell? It was Karl Anthony Towns. Certainly an awesome performance for the New York Knicks. This was a treat of a season and a treat of a finish. It was great to see Jalen Brunson get the job done. But as a whole for the NBA season, do you have a favorite moment that sticks out in your mind?
Ooh, good question. Good question. I mean, as a whole, it's hard to not talk about that Thunder Spurs game one of the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one that just sticks out in my mind. Was a series that we were looking forward to. I mean, me and you were talking about it right when the playoffs started. We were just like, we're destined to see this. And we saw it in game one at its peak. I mean, still, like I said, to this day, one of the greatest basketball games I've ever seen in that game one of the Western Conference Finals. All timer there. So I'd say that. And I will say, shout the other guys for the next, Josh Hart is a guy is kind of like you said, is we don't really see these kind of players in the NBA anymore. A guy that does all the dirty work. That's like, I don't need to score points. I'll get rebounds, I'll play defense, I'll share the basketball. You don't see those guys really thrive as starters in the NBA anymore. And then Mikal Bridges, Mr. Dependable. I love calling him Mr. Dependable. This is a guy that no matter what, game in, game out, he was gonna be there for you. And then OG Anunoby, like I hinted at in game three, one of the more underrated like star guys that should be a star but isn't a star on these teams. So favorite moment's got to be Thunder Spurs, that Western Conference Finals game one, though. I mean, that's a game I'm going to remember for a long time.
Yeah, an all-time game. Like you said, I won't soon forget. I don't know if it's as much of a moment as something that's just happened in the NBA because I guess you can't really pinpoint it down to one day. But I've enjoyed seeing kind of the next generation of the NBA start to rise up, and I think we really saw that this season with guys like Durant and Curry and LeBron. Feels like those guys are starting to kind of age their way out. It becomes, inevitable that we'll see these guys start to retire soon, which is, kind of crazy for us growing up with a lot of
Mhm.
these guys playing in the NBA. But it was nice to see this season the different guys rising up to the occasion. Cade Cunningham. Obviously, we think about kind of what Jalen Brunson has done. But you look at Shea, you look at Wemby, what those guys are doing in the Western Conference. Anthony Edwards continuing to impress. So just all these kind of new, younger faces in the NBA rising up and kind of taking a new lead in the NBA as we see kind of some of the old guard passing through. We're seeing that next generation really start to come through. And I think that was a treat to watch this season because now we know who our new contenders are. Now we know who the guys to watch are because it wasn't the Lakers at the top of the West. It wasn't even the Knicks or the Celtics at the top of the East. And so we saw some of those new young cores start to rise up. So that's what I'm excited about is the future of the NBA.
And don't forget, there's some young guys that we didn't even get to see this year. Tyrese Halliburton's going to be back next year at full strength. That's one to watch. Again, as far as a whole, I'm intrigued by it too. I know it's going to feel weird the day that LeBron, KD, Steph, all these guys from when we grew up and watched. Truly, I see the NBA grow to its peak. It's weird to see those guys eventually hanging out. The league's in good shape. They got a ton of young stars that we've seen rise up, and we got an all-time NBA draft class coming up here in like about almost a week where we're going to have all kinds of other young stars coming into the league too. So the league's in good shape, but I'm with you. Just it feels kind of weird knowing where we're at with where me and you grew up on, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, completely agree with you there. So salute to the NBA season. We'll be back obviously next week talking about the off season and mock draft episode
Yeah,
to get us
I'm
ready.
excited. We haven't made an NBA mock draft in a minute. I'm actually very excited about this.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years, but this feels like the year to get back into the NBA mock draft trend here. The one thing I'm not looking forward to is how when I sit down to actually make it, how unpredictable the NBA draft is. Because unlike with football or even, you think about baseball, um, the NBA teams just take whoever most of the time.
Yep.
The NBA has kind of become positionless in a sense. If you see that you can fit a guy into your team, whether you really need another guard or not, you might go ahead and just take another. I mean, the Magic and Jet Howard a couple of years ago didn't really feel like that was a position of need for them with
Yeah.
Suggs and Cole Anthony and Anthony Black, and still they made that kind of acquisition. So I'm not looking
Yeah.
forward to trying to decide who needs what the most.
Well, and here's the other thing that the NBA does that, I don't understand why they do it, but it also does add a little intrigue. is trades don't get finalized till after the draft. So there could be a team making a pick for another team, and we're like, whenever they draft them, we're like, what are they doing? Why would they pick them there? And
Yeah.
little do we know that there's a trade that's already been like in the works for a bit of time that we don't know about till like 45 minutes after the pick. It's like that makes more sense there. So yeah, I'm intrigued by it. I will say I'm very intrigued with these top guy discussions, especially, I'm biased for the greatest guard that I've ever seen wear a Razorback uniform and Darius Acuff. Very intrigued to see where he goes. And also, kind of some with Jalen Brunson, we saw you don't need a big guard to be your number one guy to win a championship. In other
Yeah.
words, I kind of hope that means we see Darius maybe go up a little bit higher. I know he's already rumored to be top five. We will see, but this draft class is loaded. It's hard to miss in this lottery with the amount of guys that are going to be in it this year.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. But let's quickly kind of jot over and talk about the new EA college football game that's coming out. I know you and I, again, excited about it. We talked about our wish list, and we kind of got some interesting information that got both you and I pretty excited about this game. And I'll start with I think my biggest reach coming into at least coming to the episode, I thought was my biggest reach. I was begging for mascot mashup, and sure enough, it will be back this year. I am so excited about mascot mashup. It is going to be such a treat. I do kind of hate that you're going to have to unlock all the mascots. I feel like that's kind of an unnecessary extra step. It's any way to get that microtransaction that they want
Oh
with
yeah.
and such that I'm not so big on. But I'm big on the game mode as a whole, and I'm excited to see that come back. But what's something from their preview that kind of got you excited?
So, talking about the preview first, one of the things that I am so intrigued by, and I'm finally excited to get to say it, I'm actually looking forward to playing Road to Glory this year. I think that's truly
Great.
the first time I'm going to walk in here and say, you know what? I'm actually like looking forward to the mode because they did one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Legend templates to Road to Glory. That's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. If you want to create the next Cam Newton or Tim Tebow, Vince Young, Andrew Luck, whatever you want, Pat White is one I talked about in there. I know you love him. You can create that next guy with a template for him. And I think that's just one of the coolest things because that's stuff we want to do. Like we want to create a guy to be the next Tim Tebow or, let's think about wide receivers. We want someone to be the next Desmond Howard, maybe not in his commentary career, but on the field. We want to see the next great Barry Sanders. It's just one of those things that's like, you know what? That's like a bunch of different options for things that we can do throughout the year with Road to Glory. Because I have been harsh on Road to Glory the last 2 years. I myself have specifically been. I didn't like the first year because it was a whole bunch of nothing pretty much. And then last year, it was pretty much just the moments added, and every single person hated the moments. Every single person did. But this has me intrigued. So I look forward to it. But also, I will say this, Austin, I may or may not have done something that I may or may not be proud of. I may or may not have done that MVP membership.
The MVP membership. This guy.
And I may or may not have gotten to play the beta for College Football 27 and gotten into your favorite mode mascot mashup. And can I just say, I'm going to say it, the mode is even more fun than NCAA 14. I'm not even going to lie to you.
Wow.
So one of the fun things, if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, it's all the mascots. They're 99 everything in every stat. I made a 74-yard field goal with the Miami Hurricanes mascot just because I
Wow.
wanted to test it out. I was like, 99 kick power, 99 accuracy. Let's give it a try. Right down the middle. And it's super fun because one of the things they do, Austin, when you call your play and they're walking up to the line of scrimmage, they're doing dance moves while you're coming up to the line of scrimmage. One of them's like they're like doing that as they're coming up to the line of scrimmage. They're doing cartwheels. And when you throw the ball, it's so much fun. They do it in different ways. One I saw, jump shot. I've seen clips of ones doing like a 70-yard touchdown on jump shots. One where I saw him toss the ball in the air and punch it for a downfield. I mean, it's so stupid, but it's so much fun. And
Oh,
that's exactly what you said when we did our wish list was, I guess not realistic, but it's a video game and it's so much fun. I played like 3 games of it because that's actually the most fun I had there. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, that sounds like an absolute hoot.
And you can play friends online. So me and you might have to do a mascot
Oh,
matchup
absolutely.
and put the highlights on here. We might have to do that, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
absolutely. That's gonna have to happen. Um, I another thing that I'm excited for that I saw, it's not exactly well, we'll see if it's a guaranteed fix. It sounds like on paper it's a fix to a problem that I had. But we'll see how it works out. And that's the catch meter that they
Yeah.
added. I was pretty big to complain on the catch animations from this past year. I didn't
Mhm.
like them. Um, and I like that they're kind of going to put it in your hand. It sounds like if you green the catch, you catch it no matter what. And if that's the case, then I think that's my cure-all for it. It doesn't matter what stupid animation you give me because I have control of whether it gets caught or not.
Exactly.
So I like it in theory. I'm interested to see how that works into the gameplay. Obviously, unlike you, I haven't played the beta, so I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, it was just part of it. I didn't really even touch it that I played like maybe 1 to 2 days. Like, no, I wouldn't even say 2 days. I'd say it was mainly one and then like a couple hours the next day. Because I just wanted to mainly it was for the mascot mode. I wanted to
Yeah.
mainly play it. Pretty much was the main reason I was like, you know what? I got it. I gotta test it out. And it was fun. I will say I did go in and make like a quick dynasty and just sim through a season. I really didn't go dive into anything just because for those of you who don't know, it's this new dynasty blueprint thing that they're talking about for it. It seemed interesting when it came to the NIL points and
Yeah.
allocating points for different things. It seemed interesting, but I tell you one thing I look forward to with Team Builder, Stadium Creator is in the game this year, which is going to be something fun. And one of the things they said is you can update the stadium every single year at start of the new season in your dynasty. Meaning,
Wow.
if you're a small program, like if you want to build a fake small program and you build them up to the top, you can make a new stadium for them as if it is grown and made the program bigger. Like instead of playing in that tiny little stadium when you're like number one team in the country. So just little details like that, I think, are things that are going to be super fun. I will say the gameplay kind of felt like a combination of 25 and 26. It felt like overall game speed was a lot like 26, but the moves in the open field felt a lot like 25. At least that's what it felt like to me.
So I'm excited to see it. You talked about the blueprint. I think it's a neat idea. I think it's a better way to kind of realistically manage NIL and stuff. Um, so yeah, I'm with you. I'm excited about that. With the way it kind of all goes together, but it's an exciting game that we're both looking forward to. We're just a few weeks away now.
Yeah.
And then we'll be able to give our initial thoughts. But I'm still thinking on who I'm going to do my first dynasty with. I'm not exactly sure where I'll end up there, but this year I might actually do a road to glory before I do a dynasty.
I know. That's like this is the first time I actually walked into it and go, I'm actually looking forward to playing Road to Glory. Like I'm actually intrigued by it. Now,
Yeah.
one thing I think I saw, I didn't check in whenever I did the beta. I think this year, I don't think Sacramento State or North Dakota State stadiums got added in, but you also got to factor in that those two decided very late in the cycle that they were jumping up to Division One. Like it was what early or late January, early February, I
Yeah.
think, when they officially announced they're coming up to Division One. So not necessarily enough time for these guys at EA to put a whole new stadium and everything into the game. Now, probably next year it'll be in there, but um, that's always one to consider for your first dynasty, Austin. But the NIL thing, I think, with the blueprint's going to make it really tough to rebuild small schools. Like even tougher than it felt like last year.
Yeah.
So
But I think it kind of should be
yeah,
a little bit
exactly.
tougher. I think I found myself in a spot where I could get to a small school and then I could just start winning games. And then you start going to, the playoff, or you start, winning your conference over and over again. And you start to get the attention of some of those of the recruits. Because you're not, like you said, you're not really having to manage NIL or anything. I
Hmm.
think that's the thing that makes it more realistic is I was getting to a point where I'd be at, a smaller school, even at Arkansas, and I'm playing well, and I've been to a national championship, and now 5 stars are interested. And it's not that 5 stars won't be interested after you do that, but there's no, I don't have to compete for it. It's like, hey, I'm a contender, and I don't have to try and raise the price
Right.
on the NIL and whatnot. It's just, and I think to me, it'll add a little bit more of one thing I don't like is when I am putting as many hours as I can into a guy and I'm first on his board, and then at the very end he
Yeah.
flips. Um, yeah, I don't like having a maximum amount to like outside of how much you have to offer.
Right.
Just
Right.
because it's like that's not how it works in real recruiting. And it feels like, to give me my best chance, if I wanted to dump out all of my assets on one guy, so that wouldn't help you, I feel like I should be able to do that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And I will say coaching carousel as a whole also got upgrades to something else. You can go and steal coordinators from other schools,
Seeing
but
that,
it costs NIL points to do that though. You got to keep that in mind.
yeah, seeing that, I was like, that's really cool that you're going to be able, because that's one thing I've been thinking about. I just get 5 random schmoes, and
Exactly.
I'm like, which of these guys? One thing that kind of grinded my gears a little bit with this last dynasty I was doing uh, here just a few weeks ago. I left South Carolina for Arkansas, and I couldn't bring my coordinators with me. It
Mhm.
didn't even give me the option. I'm like, why would I not want to take a guy who just won the Broyles Award with me? Like, I'm not just going to leave that dude behind.
Yeah.
And especially knowing the game, he won't get offered the head coaching job because he's already in a coordinator job. So what the heck are they going to do? What the heck else is he going to do? Why not come with me up to Fayetteville? But it's super exciting, super good look so far at the game. Obviously, we'll give our initial thoughts once the game's out, and we'll have
Yep.
an episode for that. But here, finally, we're gonna bring it back. We're gonna try another crack at another one of these
Yeah.
perfect team builders. This time, college football to be on the theme with the college football game, as we just talked about. We did do a test run before the game. Hopefully, no strange, weird cuts. I may be jinxing us right now, but it worked well for both of us. So now it's time to put it to the test on the recording. Who can build
Yeah.
the perfect college football program?
I'm gonna number one, I want you to know that if this does go wrong, I'm gonna cut it right at that moment where you said like I could be jinxing us. I'm gonna cut to the next moment whenever we have to re-record. That's how I'm gonna do it if I have to edit it solely at that point.
That's a good
Toy
idea.
random, I will say I'm gonna flash it since you could brag about yours for college for NBA last time. Flash my 15-0 team with Jerome Bettis and Earl Campbell in the backfield.
Yeah,
I'm running the triple option every game, baby. Triple option doesn't stand a chance against those guys. But would you like to go first or shall I go first?
I'll let you go first because I think I ran it first last time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will take it from here. Oh, did I forget to go full screen? Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. I always forget to do this.
Wonderful.
Yep. Here we go. Now we're good. All right, here we go. Yep, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. So again, if you don't know how it works, you'll spin, you'll get your team for whatever era it is. So let's see. NC State in the 70s. Oh, I mean, I could go Lou Holtz and just get my coach out of the way. I could.
Yeah.
There's Bill Cower. Shout
Bill
out Bill
Howard,
Cower. NC
Steelers
State,
legend.
NC State legend, that linebacker. Um, I'm trying to remember, was Lou Holtz really even that good at NC State?
Yeah,
I don't
that's a
even
good one.
remember him at NC State. So that tells you, you know, I don't want to use my respin here right away. So you know what? We'll go Lou Holtz. We'll pick him just because he's Lou Holtz.
There are worse picks to be made, so I think I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I think I got to go Lou Holtz here. Oregon. Okay, why am I getting 1970s? No, I'm respinning the era. I have to. I'm not getting back to back 70s. That's just that can't happen because I
Yeah,
and also there's no names that stick out here. Greg Marshall, and that's not even the Greg Marshall I'm thinking of. You know exactly what Greg Marshall I'm thinking of. Wichita State coaching legend Greg Marshall. Yeah, we got to
Greg
respin the
Marshall,
era.
actual legend.
2010s. There we go.
Wow.
Brandon Cooks. Perfect. Perfect pick. Or Jaquiz Rogers, I guess, isn't also a bad one. Or
Sean Mannion,
Sean
Jordan
Mannion.
Poyer.
Not bad, but Brandon Cooks. I gotta get some speed out there for Lou Holtz.
I agree. You gotta.
2020 Tennessee. Oh,
How
now
much do they value one really good year of
ex-
Hendon Hooker before he tears his ACL?
I know that's my thing.
I think
Uh,
it's your best pick no matter what.
I mean, the two guys, there are two obvious guys that are standing out here: Jalen Hyatt and Hendon Hooker. You know, how many, hold on, how many? I mean, this is only my third round. So I feel like quarterback, I'm going to have other chances at quarterback. I think
Yeah.
we're going to go Jalen Hyatt. I think we're going to go Jalen Hyatt. All right. Washington State in the 2020s. Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward might have to be the pick here because I only, NA means he still have a respin. There's just no board for it to roll on this. Right, because there's no one else in the 2020 Pac-12, really. You know what? We're going to do it. We're putting Cam Ward at quarterback. I'm seeing enough. God, love me some Cam Ward. We got to go with him. Kansas State in the 2000s. Darren Sproles.
Eric
Give me
Sproles.
Darren Sproles as my running back. Come on. Okay, we need flex and a defense. 2020s Florida State. Where's Jared Verse? There he
There
is.
it is.
There he is. I'm feeling pretty good about this team, actually. Let's see. And then 2020s Texas. Oh my gosh, Austin, please tell me you see this.
No, no, he's ineligible.
There's actually no way. Is that I bet Tech fans email us mad about this one. Oh my God, that's actually incredible. I love that they added that. That is actually incredible. I think I got to go Taj Brooks here, but that is awesome. I love that
Yeah,
feature.
that was a good add-in.
8 and 7. Ooh.
Oof.
Taj Brooks really kind of screwed me there, it looks like. But I mean, everywhere else I was pretty solid.
Yeah, wow, Tosh Brooks. No love for Tosh Brooks.
I thought he was better. I thought he was decent during his time.
So did I.
Okay, well, all right. Well, I'm going to get off so we can let the Austin Hill give it a crack. I'm going to see if I can do better my second run after this. But Austin, let's see what you got. I love that for Texas Tech, though. I did not know they added that. That's actually hilarious.
Yeah, I'm concerned. I'm not very good at the college football one, so that's going to put me in a bind.
Which means,
Vanderbilt in the 80s.
ah, I know nothing about 80s Vanderbilt football. George McIntyre, the coach. I don't even know who that is.
All right, we're going to have to take a gamble on the 1980s SEC and hope for something else.
Kentucky in the 80s. Wow. So we go from one bad SEC team to another.
Do I burn another free spin
I
immediately?
mean, I'm
I
trying to see if there's any names that even stick out. There really aren't even any
I
names that
know
stick
that's how
out.
I feel.
You know
I
what? I say you got to risk it. Baylor in the 80s. Mike Singletary. There you go. Mike
Oh
Singletary's
yes,
there.
okay, yes. Yep. Here we go.
Okay. I just hope you don't get 1970s Washington State or something.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. Indiana in the 90s.
I mean, Trent Green's there. I forget Trent Green went to Indiana. Bill Mallory was now this is before Kurt Signetti, so who knows how much talent truly was there in Indiana during this
I know.
time.
Here's the thing: do I gamble on a reroll for 2020's Indiana and take Kurt Signetti?
Here's the thing, though. You got to hope for 2020s because pretty much every other era besides that's going to be tough. The only other one that would be good was maybe be getting Lee Corso as your coach.
1980s. I got the same All right, Bill
Yeah, I
Mallory.
was about to say, go with Bill Mallory, I guess. He was
I've
coaching
got
the
no
80s and 90s.
respins, so this will be a quick run through
Oh,
here.
no. Kansas State in the 70s. Steve Grogan? Wait, Patriots quarterback Steve Grogan? The legend? The guy that got destroyed by the 85 Bears in Super Bowl 20?
Um, this is a bind.
This
Didn't
is this is I got nothing else to say. I literally only know Steve Grogan is a joke. Texas Tech in the 70s? Dude, you were getting screwed by these roles.
James Mosley?
Okay. Someone
I like the sound of James Mosley.
2020's Arkansas.
Do I run KJ Jefferson with this squad?
It's
I'm
either
going.
him or it's obviously either him or Traylon, but I think, yeah, I go KJ. Why not? Get KJ. Ooh,
Mario
two good receiving
Manningham.
options.
I like Mario Manningham and
Heinz
Heinz Ward.
Ward, shot.
Okay, 4-11.
Oh no. Okay.
What on
Run it
earth?
back. Run it back, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna do better on these second times. Wait, hold on. What was everyone's overall? What I want to see. Yeah, Mike Singletary. Bill Mallory was a 74. Frick you,
Bill
Bill
Mallory
Mallory.
just stunk.
Same with
Oh,
James Mosley. Oh, James Mosley was a fullback. He wasn't even a running back.
oh, that's good. That is
You know
chill.
what? Go again right now. Go again right now. You gotta go again. Run it
Back
back, ladies and gentlemen. Run it
back to
back.
back. All right, shake it up. Get away from me.
Where can you select? I mean, Tim Couch was decent because it wasn't this when uh frickin' what's his name? Wow. Mike Leach was the OC, I want to say. He was there.
Wow. I mean, I got in a pickle because I didn't have any respins, and Tim Couch, like he had to be decent coming out of college
Because he
because
was the number one pick in the draft, I'm pretty sure. So
The
yeah.
Browns believed in him.
Although
I'm
the
not saying
Browns will
he's
believe in anybody though.
that's
So
true. I'm not going to say he's perfect, but Christian
oh,
Gonzalez,
there you
Bucky
go.
Irving, Dan Lanning.
Dylan Diamond. Dylan Diamond's down there.
I like Dylan Steinman, but I think if you're going to go defense, you go Kevon Thibodeau.
That is very true. Or you could lock up Dan Lanning as your coach.
I like Dan Lanning. I think I can get better coaches because
Or
I think
Christian Gonzalez. Dude, I forgot how I always forget
yeah.
sometimes how stacked this Oregon teams were.
I'm going to go Kevon
I
Thibodeau.
don't hate that pick. I don't hate that. Oregon State
Ethan
2000s.
Jackson
Oh,
or
or
Chad.
Chad Johnson.
Chad.
Get Ocho Cinco in there.
Okay.
Oh, now you're
Um,
cooking here.
I don't want the 2000s Notre Dame. There were better players. Okay.
Oh,
Marcus Freeman, Jeremiah Love.
oh.
I'm going to go Jeremiah Love because he's a freak.
I mean, come on. You got to go, Jeremy. Love.
Washington, Miles Gaskin, Dante Pettis,
John
John
Ross.
Ross. Actually, this team was kind of loaded.
Chris Peterson. Don't forget former Boise State coach. It's not a bad one either. Bishop Sankey. I haven't heard that name in a hot minute.
Oh,
Wow.
that's crazy. John Ross or Dante Pettis. I think John Ross was the better of the two.
Yeah. Plus he was a speed demon. I mean, you weren't catching him with anything.
Oh, wow.
Oh. Oh.
Odell, Jamar, or Leonard
Pick
Fournette.
your pick of wide receiver or coach. You could go get Coach O. Go get Coach O. Go
I've
Tigers.
had three kind of good coaches. Oh, where do I go? Do I go?
I kind of
Surely,
feel like you got to go Jamar or
that's what I'm
Justin
thinking.
Jefferson. One of
I
those
think
two.
Jamar's probably going to be the best.
Yeah. All right. Who's your coach going to be? Matt Campbell. Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad. You could
Got two
rescind.
re-rolls, but I don't know. If I re-roll the team, what other Big 12 coaches are there in the 2010s that are any good?
I'm trying. I mean, Mike Gundy was there. Bob Stoops, Lincoln Riley, Gary Patterson was there for TCU.
I just
Art Briles,
Gundy. Let's
Mike
go
Gundy.
Gundy.
Yeah. There we
11
go.
4.
From 4-11 to 11-4. That's a good turnaround right there.
Chad Johnson stinks.
What? That is a
So,
disrespectful rating to Chad Johnson. I will not sit here and tolerate Chad Johnson slander from this game. What are we doing?
absolutely gutting because this team is actually pretty good if Chad Johnson wasn't on it.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's a solid team.
All
Everyone.
right.
All right. Let me get back on here and give her a try again. All right. Let's see what we got here, ladies and gentlemen. Georgia in the 70s. I'm 1 year short of I'm 1 era short of Herschel Walker. That's a shame.
Yeah, that's a grind.
Vince Dooley, I know, is a historically good coach. I know that for a fact. But do I pick him now or do I risk a reroll on the first one?
Here's the thing. A reroll in an era with Georgia, you're almost guaranteed to get somebody good,
That's a
right?
good point. You know what? You're talking me into it. The only one I would pick would Vince Dooley on this one. I wasn't picking any of the players. 2010's Georgia. Where is he at? Where's the best receiver in the sport? What? Oh, wait, AJ Green left before 2010. I got
Yeah, he took
excited.
2008.
I mean,
You got a pick of good running backs here,
yeah,
though.
I was about to say Todd Gurley is. I mean, Todd Gurley's just screaming at me. I got to pick Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley's just.
That's where I would have gone. Him or Roquan.
Yep. North Carolina in the 70s. Once again, I'm 1 era short of getting Lawrence Taylor on this team.
Bill
Um,
Dooley,
why does that name sound familiar? Is that just because we literally just had Vince Dooley? Is that literally the reason why that sounds familiar to me?
probably.
You know what? Uh, I don't.
Oh,
I'm. This is only my second roll. I got to go, Bill. I just. I.
man.
I don't know if I see any other players that I would truly
I
consider here. I don't know enough about North Carolina in the 70s.
I agree. I don't even know what you do here. This
We'll
is
go. I don't want to risk. I don't want to risk another reroll because I know I'm going to need him. We'll go Bill. We'll go Bill, I guess. But this is not going to end well. I know. 1970s Ole Miss. Got to go with Arch.
there you go.
Archie Manning. All right. Clemson in the 2020s. Phil Maffa.
Bill Maffa.
So let's see. We got Brian Brzee. He was pretty good. Not bad. Phil Maffa. Miles Murphy. T.J.
No.
Parker. Will Shipley. Peter Woods. I almost feel like defense I think has to be the pick here.
Yeah, yeah. If you're gonna stick with Clemson here, I would go with one of these defensive guys.
My gut tells me to go either Peter Woods or Miles Murphy. That's what my gut's telling me.
Yeah, I would. Miles Murphy was a freak at Clemson. I remember that much.
I think we'll go Miles Murphy on a defense. All right. Florida State 2020s. Well, now I regret picking a defensive player there for Clemson. Keon Coleman, even though the Bills don't want him, I want Keon Coleman. He was pretty good.
You don't want Johnny Wilson?
Was he the one that was like 6'7"?
Hands of bricks.
It's a shame because I mean he's was not bad. Trey Benson's not bad, but no, I gotta go Keon. Gotta go with Keon. Boston College in the 2000s. Well, I missed out on Matt Ryan. That sucks. No, I'm gonna use a re-roll here. I
I
think.
like it. I like it.
Let's go team. NC State Jericho Cotchery.
Yeah.
I think has to be the pick here because I don't want to risk another one. I have one more pick that I want to make sure I have. T.A. McClendon. I don't even know his name is. We're gonna go Jericho Cotchery. Screw it.
I like it. That's where I would
All
go.
right, and then the flex, Arkansas in the 80s. Darn, this is where I wish I would have gotten Steve Atwater or something. I'm actually upset. Um, Gary Anderson, I know, was a pretty good player for the Razorbacks in the 80s, so we'll go him. 9-6. Okay, so
You improved by a game.
yeah. Do we each want to go one more time and then call it at that?
One more time.
All right, I'll go ahead and get my re-roll in. Oh, Peter Woods was the better pick by 2 overall,
Oh,
I guess. Jericho Cotchery. I had no choice but to pick Jericho. Don't tell me what's good and what's not. Shut up, game. Georgia Tech in the 80s. Ken Wisenhunt, the tight end.
wow.
There's a name I have not heard since the early 2010s. Ken Wisenhunt. Bill Curry. Only reason I know that is he eventually coached Alabama.
Wow.
but he didn't last long at Alabama because he couldn't beat Auburn, so he didn't last long there.
Hmm.
Um, I'm gonna risk a spin on this first one because I kind of want to. Arizona State in the '80s. Immediately regret my spin.
I can't help you here.
I was about to say, there's literally no names that stick out.
This is foreign to me.
The only one that I feel like I kind of know is Jim Jeffcoat. I don't know why. The name just sticks out to me for some reason.
Whatever
You know
you
what?
think
We're
it is.
picking Jim Jeffcoat. Watch him be like a 70 overall player. I don't freaking know. Illinois in the 70s.
Oh boy.
Good Lord. Yeah, okay. So this is not the 15-0 team, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just
Mm.
gonna have fun with the rest of this then. We're gonna go a new era. 2020s.
Brett
Like
Bielema.
we gotta go Bielema, but Tommy DeVito's there. I'm kidding. No, we gotta go Brett Bielema. I love Tommy DeVito, but not in this game.
No, not in this game is right.
Syracuse in the 2010s. Ryan Nassib, Steve Ishmael, Eric Dungy. Uh, I don't. Am I really going to use all my re-rolls within my first three picks?
I mean, 2010's ACC has some much better teams than this.
Yes, it does. Miami in the 2010s. Lamar Miller, I think, has got to be the guy here because Duke
Dude,
Johnson, although wasn't terrible.
yeah, he wasn't bad. Philip Dorsett, kind of probably underrated.
I kind of forgot about Brad Kaya. He was not terrible as like a freshman. I gotta go Lamar Miller though. Gotta go Lamar. Even though again, it's not gonna matter with this team because I'm
Yeah.
gonna get 1970s, 1990s Florida State. Now they want to give me a good one, ladies and gentlemen. Do I go Charlie Ward? He won the Heisman. He's a
Nick's
Heisman winner.
legend, Charlotte.
Yeah, Knicks legend Charlie Ward. Speaking of the NBA champion Knicks, does Charlie Ward get a ring, ladies and gentlemen? Warwick Dunn wasn't terrible. Charlie Ward won a Heisman, though. I think I got to pick him.
Yeah, you
Gotta go
gotta.
Charlie Ward.
That's the gimme.
1970s SMU. Are you kidding me? We couldn't get 1980s SMU. I'm upset. Wayne Morris, Emmanuel Tolbert, Oscar Rohn. Wayne Morris just sounds like he'd be a better player, so I'm going to pick Wayne Morris. I mean, that's
That's
just
fair.
Mississippi State in the 90s. I literally only have one choice. Okay, Eric Moulds. This team's going to win like 2 games.
Bo
Antonio
Collins.
Williams or Bo Collins?
Bo Collins, I think, was better. He went to Notre Dame, I think. He transferred out to Notre Dame.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say this. This might be my worst all time team I've ever done on here. Like, this is probably going to be a 2-10 team. 6-9. I mean, that's nice, I guess. But, it's a rebuilding year. Oh,
6-9.
yeah. So Duke Johnson would have been the better pick over Lamar Miller, apparently.
And Emmanuel Tolbert.
Oh, well, all right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, did not go well for me, Austin. I need you to do well to end this off because that was some of the worst luck I've had on that last round ever. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, let's make it look like I know something about all of this stuff.
At least we got to at least get you to double digit wins. We got to at least walk out here with a double digit win season. Come on.
All right. Michigan in the 1980s.
Anthony Carter was solid. Bo Schembechler, obviously. You could go get Jim Harbaugh a quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think I want to do that. I like getting a coach out of the way.
Bo Schembechler's not a bad pick at all for that.
Wisconsin in the 70s.
Ugh. I got nothing here. Purdue in the 70s. I yeah. Colorado in the 70s. Oh, this is horrible. Give us a good era at least. 2010, Chidobe Awuzie, Philip Lindsay.
These
Paul,
aren't even.
whatever
These,
happened to Philip Lindsay, ladies and gentlemen? We need to dive into that. Started out so good with the Broncos and then just fell off a cliff.
if I see one more 1970s team pop up,
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we learned a lesson from this. We're not doing this one again because we've gotten screwed over.
Bobby Majors, I like it. I went
1970s Iowa.
I don't know if I want to block up my flex spot.
Rod Wellington.
Rod Wellington, I think, has to be the pick.
Brent
Vandy in the 80s. Thanks.
Alama Matthews. That's a name. Or Alama, I guess you could go. Chuck Scott. Oh,
It's Duggan.
you
Come
gotta
on.
get him.
Come
Hypnotoad.
on. Hypnotoad.
Hypnotoad.
Uh, Tim Alexander sounds like a name. 5 and 10.
Golly.
Absolute.
Rod Wellington wasn't the move, apparently. Or
Oh
Bobby
my God.
Majors. Okay, no, we can't let it end on that. You know what? We got to pull up 82 and 0. We got to end good. We can't end on a 5 and 10 team.
Agreed. Better 82-0 is
Yeah.
the way to go.
You want to pull it up or you want me to? I'm good either way.
I'll pull it up real
I was
quick.
about to say we got to end on something good. We cannot end on 5 and 10 and a 6 and 9 team.
All
We
right.
we can't do it. Okay, come on. Let's at least get a good team here.
All right. Laker or Clippers in the 2020s.
I mean, there's
Gotta be.
Kawhi. Yeah.
Let's just stick Kawhi at the 3 right now. We won't think about it any longer.
Yep.
Detroit in the
Detroit.
90s.
This is the end of like near the end of Isaiah Thomas's peak. Or you could go Dennis Rodman for defense. Him and Kawhi together on the same team defensively would be nuts.
It'd be crazy, but don't know about that.
Yeah,
I
I was
think
about to say that. Yeah,
here we
two
go.
thousands. There you go.
So it's Chauncey, I think.
Yeah, Chauncey. You could go Ben Wallace again. Just go defense and defense. You can make you those back to back picks. You could have made the greatest defensive team ever.
Is that what I want? Is that what I want?
Rip Hamilton's there. Torian Prince.
I think I'm buying in on defense.
Okay, I like it. I like it.
Cleveland in the 2020s. Where's Mike King? Just kidding. He's not my king, but Laurie Markkinen.
I forgot he played on the
He
Cavs.
was a cat.
I
Oh,
completely forgot about that. That's one of the things I love about this is that I just wait a minute. LeBron wasn't a Cav in the
he wasn't.
2020s. He
He's
left
not
in
a.
2018.
Oh,
Oh no.
that was a collapse. Um,
Colin Sexton's there.
oh,
Donovan
Donovan.
Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell, yeah. Yeah, I was with you. I was looking for LeBron. Oh, yep. Ben Wallace and Dwight Howard. Who is scoring on that front court? Absolutely nobody.
Okay, yeah. If we're gonna have them both, Ben Wallace needs to be at the 4.
Yeah, agreed.
Atlanta in the 80s for my last pick.
Oh, I mean, truly only one, but I guess you could Kawhi move to the 2.
He can.
So you could put Dominique Wilkins at the 3, or we could do a respin. You do have a team respin
I
left.
think we got to burn the team spin. What?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was a mistake. Who do we know from the Washington in the 80s? Anybody know any good names that are available?
Harvey Grant was mid.
John Williams, that sounds like the fake players that they put at the end of the historic rosters in 2K. Just got John Williams at the end of the bench.
I could go Muggsy Bogues.
You could Kawhi at the 3, Donovan Mitchell at the 2, Muggsy Bogues at the 1. That might be your best option.
Oh,
Oh, golly.
weak spacing. No kidding.
Really? With Ben Wallace and Dwight Howard, I am shocked by that statement.
That is too many non-shooters.
Yeah, but who is scoring on this team? Let's say that, ladies and gentlemen. Who is scoring on a Kawhi Leonard, prime Dwight Howard, and prime Ben Wallace team?
Muggsy Bogues also a good defender.
Yeah. And you got Donovan Mitchell and Kawhi to create. It's yeah. We tried, ladies and gentlemen.
We tried. We put on an absolute
we're gonna have to do this again because we can't end on that. We can't.
yeah, we'll have to bring that back. That was not a good look for us. But That's going to do it for us here at the Bold Take Podcast. We've got an NBA draft episode that's going to be coming at you next week, where we will do our mock drafts and
Yeah.
break down maybe some of the offseason news that we've seen. But with all that being said, that's Austin Wader. I'm Austin Hill, and we want to thank you for listening.
Well, actually, we're not done yet, folks. We thought we were done. We thought we were done. We thought we had a pretty good episode. And then all of a sudden tonight, we have big news break. If you've been following us and you listen to our episodes, we've been talking about this Brendan Sorsby situation going on. We wondered what was going to happen. We hinted at it, and now we have an official resolution. Brendan Sorsby is entering the NFL supplemental draft and will not be the starting quarterback at Texas Tech for the 2026 season. Um, I mean, look, ladies and gentlemen, it is currently 9:30 at night, so we're going to try to just go through this quick. But I mean, Austin, first thoughts on this. We thought maybe this would happen. Now it's official. Brendan Sorsby is not going to be at Texas Tech this year.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, kind of sucks for Texas Tech. Obviously, if you've been following the situation and seeing what the AD has said as of late, you feel less bad for them. But it does stink that they put in this big investment in this transfer portal window with, a couple of names like maybe a DJ Lagway or a Sam Levitt, who are also guys on the table potentially in this transfer portal. But you get your guy, and to have that guy go is going to kind of stink. But this is the right thing. This is what should have happened. And I mean, I got pretty close with my timing in the last episode about when I thought this might
You did.
happen. I said give it about a week. But it started to turn in a direction where I thought maybe it wasn't going to be settled so soon. Uh, you know, they come out and, teams say, we're not going to play you. We're not going to schedule you in anything. And I commended those teams. And then Texas Tech came out and said, we don't care. Basically, we didn't do anything wrong. The AD went as far as to say,
Yeah.
it's wrong that he's being robbed of this eligibility. He only cheated.
It's not like he killed somebody.
Yeah, it's not like he killed somebody. He just cheated. He just broke one of those rules you just can't break. And it looked like maybe we weren't going to get the resolution we thought, and they were going to stand firm and try and call teams on their bluff. But I think obviously the thing that we saw that kind of developed, I think it was earlier today, was that the Big 12 had announced they were pursuing legal action against Texas Tech. Basically, the idea of the lawsuit was you signed an agreement to operate under our terms, and now we've told you he can't play, and you're still going to let him play. That's not how this works. It's basically what their court case was going to be. And they were going to let the law decide if Texas Tech, even though technically the federal government does override the NCAA and the Big 12 from a law perspective, does the agreement signed between Texas Tech and the Big 12 basically give the Big 12, Texas Tech basically giving the Big 12 the right to dictate who plays and who doesn't based on a certain set of rules. And I think Texas Tech realized this is where it gets more serious. This is more than people saying they're not going to play you in a football game. This is obviously some big legal action that could cost some big money for the university in a situation they know they're clearly wrong in. Nobody has come out and said he didn't do it. And I think that's what really got him. And so once the Big 12 put their foot down, I think it was like I said, just a matter of hours, really, whether it was yesterday or today, where the university sits down with Sorsby, and I'm sure exactly what happened is you're going to cost us a lot of money, and you cheated. We're not going to win this case. Best thing you can do, and I said this, the best thing you can do is go be a quarterback in the NFL. Somebody wants you. We said it, I don't know how many times. If he had chosen to go to the NFL draft, he would have been a first round.
Oh, absolutely. No question.
And so the fact that he didn't, now he gets to be a supplemental draft pick. Somebody's not going to have to spend a first round pick, theoretically, and they're going to be able to land this guy. I think he's got a ton of value. Even the gambling thing kind of stinks, but you'd like to think that now that it's kind of under the radar. I mean, you got to think the NFL is going to be watching this guy particularly. So you'd think he'd clean up his act getting to that next level. So I think this works out just about as good as it can for everybody except Texas Tech. Um, but for them, I don't feel quite as bad just because of the way that it's not that they appealed it. That's my problem. It's that they chose the loophole to cheat around the NCAA's decision. And then when everybody was like, this is wrong that you're doing this, and the rules say it's wrong, they tried to defend it by saying, well, at least he didn't kill somebody. We know he bet on his teammates' unders, and he had some pretty insider information when making these bets and gambling underage, which I believe is a point you brought up
Yep.
in the last episode. Um, so all of that, but he didn't kill anybody or anything. So
Right.
let's let him play another year of college football. The situation gets resolved. Hopefully, this is a lesson learned for the NCAA. Like I said in the last episode, my worry is that the NCAA is going to take the wrong lesson and say, when there's an egregious crime, everybody's just going to stand up to it, and we don't need to change anything, as opposed to, again, being proactive, something they haven't done in this NIL era, and try to get ahead of some of this stuff or prevent this from ever happening again. We've gotten the best resolution possible, and I will say I really commend the Big 12 in this
Yep.
situation because they had everything, and I mean everything, to gain from Brendan Sorsby playing.
Oh, absolutely.
Texas Tech could have been, again, the powerhouse in the Big 12. They could have won the Big 12 again. They could have gotten they could have potentially had a first round bye in the college football playoff and been able to make a run here in the college football playoff. But instead, they're putting their foot down and saying, no, this is wrong, even though we could benefit from this. This goes against all of the other teams in the league, as well as everybody else in college football, and we're not going to stand for it. And because they put their foot down and because they filed this lawsuit, that's what eventually was the final nail in the coffin for Texas Tech, where they decided it's not worth the hassle any longer. So I commend the Big 12 because they could have gained a lot from Sorsby being at Texas Tech and
Right.
playing in games. And instead, they put their foot down and said, we're going to do what's right. That's what all other conferences and their commissioners should aspire to be. That in the face of wrong, even when you stand a chance to gain, they put their foot down and they set the record straight and ultimately, at least for now, solve this problem with college football.
Yeah, go ahead and bring it up. This is a statement made by talking about with Texas Tech Board Chairman Cody Campbell said in a statement that they stood on very solid, legitimate legal ground, but he faces a June 22nd deadline to be eligible to enter the NFL supplemental draft. And there's no practical way to resolve all the various pending legal disputes and ensure his eligibility prior to this day. This is the only viable and fair path to Brendan and his future, as well as for our teammates in university. They also said that they would not seek the return of any money paid to him with his contract with school, which they said was about $5 million. But for those of you who don't know, let's talk about this really quick. The NFL supplemental draft. How does this work? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it really doesn't happen very often. It's essentially set up for players that lost their college eligibility after the official time to enter the NFL draft. They only do this whenever there is a prospect that is eligible for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen every year. The only ones that I can think of stick out, Terrell Pryor, I think is the
Terrell
main. I
Pryor,
think that's the main one that sticks out to me.
that's the big one. Yeah, talking tonight with some people, they asked, what do you think the last notable supplemental draft pick was? And I was like, Terrell Pryor's the guy that always comes to my mind. The autographs in the off season,
Yeah.
and the NCAA says he can't play anymore, which granted, such again, old NCAA and
Yeah.
still obviously current NCAA decisions and rules are obviously stupid and fickle. But again, players not being able to benefit on their own likeness
Yeah.
is unbelievable. And the fact that a little over 10 years ago, that was something that happened, signing a few autographs and getting a couple, bucks out of that, cost a guy his eligibility, is wild. But yes, he ended up going to the supplemental draft, and Cleveland ended up with him, right?
Uh, Actually, I think it was the Raiders that
The
got him,
Raiders
and then he went
and
to
then
Cleveland after that. Of course, the other famous one was Bernie Kosar. Although that one was technically a full blown plan by the Browns. That wasn't anything Bernie Kosar did bad. That was just the Browns plan to get him. But the way this works for the supplemental draft, to go ahead and break it down for y'all. First things first, he's got to petition and be approved by the NFL league office to enter the supplemental pool. That's golden. That's number one. And like you talked about, again, this is a guy that actively said, I bet on college sports on my teams. I bet over $90,000 on over 9,000 wagers. So it's not necessarily a slam dunk to say, we're going to give him a shot in the NFL supplemental draft. But
You're absolutely right.
I mean, it's not a slam dunk. But the way after that, unlike the regular draft, teams are not placed in a strict reverse standing order. Instead, they are divided into three weighted lottery tiers. Tier 1 is non-playoff teams with 6 or fewer wins the previous season. Tier 2 is all other non-playoff teams. And Tier 3 is teams that made the playoffs. It's a weighted lottery that randomizes the order within each tier, giving worst teams the best odds to pick first. That's essentially what that is for it. So the way it works is during the draft, again, sometimes during these supplemental drafts, there's only one player up for grabs. They don't do these unless there is a player that is approved. During the draft, teams must submit confidential blind bids to the NFL. They specify the player, the exact round in which they are willing to draft him, which is picks round 1 through 7. Now, the important thing, the players award to the team that bids the highest round. Now, for those of you who don't know, the strict rule here is whatever round pick you use in a supplemental draft, you lose that pick in the next draft. So if someone uses a supplemental first round pick this year to pick Brennan Sorsby, they do not get a first round pick in the 2027 NFL draft. Or if he goes second round, that team doesn't get a second round, third round, fourth round, fifth round, seventh round. So it's interesting to see how teams are going to look at this also, because there's a couple of teams that very obviously stand out as would love the opportunity to pick him. Question is, how high of a price are they actually going to pay, though?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think this is kind of, for a lot of these teams, an ideal situation. Theoretically, I don't think we see anybody spend a first round pick.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think he's good, but he could have been a first round pick. But now that you're kind of in this silent auction, is what I like to think of it.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I guess as opposed to a silent auction, you don't know, like you said, blind. You don't know what everybody else is bidding.
Mm-hmm.
You're just throwing the max you'd be willing to go. But I just don't see anybody that'd be willing to spend that high. But I could definitely foresee maybe a second round pick in this situation. Like you said, there's a couple teams that kind of jump out as being a team that might make this move. The first team that comes to mind to me is obviously the Arizona Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
They did pick Carson Beck, and Carson Beck could be the guy for them. But Jacoby Brissett is now in the midst of the strangest holdout in the history of the NFL. Jacoby Brissett, while he had some flashes last season and seems comfortable in the offense, this is the guy that did not win a lot of games in his starts. I cannot believe the goal that I understand you're going to be a starter, or you were going to be a starter, so you want a little bit of a pay raise. But on what planet does he think that arrangement's going to work? So I could see a world where the Cardinals say, "Hey, here's a third round pick we're willing to give up, and if we get him, we get him." That's what I would do, because then you wouldn't have to work this whole Jacoby Brissett thing. Either he decides he's going to come back so that he can get any reps at all, or maybe they just part ways.
Yeah.
The Jets are another team that kind of comes to my mind.
That's the one to me. That's my number one. I think that would go and get him.
They didn't take anybody in this draft that I can really think. Maybe they did like late in the draft. I can't think of somebody off the top of my head. I shouldn't say they didn't.
No.
But kind of committed to Geno Smith, bringing him back for a year, and then gearing up for next year's draft. But this would be an opportunity to obviously get all your picks in this year's draft, which they made 3 of in this first round. And now they could still get a chance to get a first round level talent for them. This is a team I could really see spending a second round pick to end up with Brennan Sorsby. Because worst case scenario, he's your backup to Geno Smith. Best case scenario, he ends up as your starter at some point this coming
Yeah,
season.
that's why I think the Jets, because like I said, 3 first round picks, they'll gladly give up a second round and be like, yeah, we'll lose a second round pick. We got 3 first rounders. We'll be fine losing a second rounder because again, they have Geno Smith there. And then if Geno Smith works out, good. They have a young backup that's ready to go. If he doesn't, they've got a guy that could be a promising quarterback in the future. Plus, I'd say it's a good situation for Sorsby where he doesn't have to rush into a situation. I feel like if he went to Arizona, they would expect him to compete for the job right away.
Yeah.
Whereas with the Jets, I'm sure they'd be like, look, we're riding with Geno. If we get to a certain point, we might turn to you this year, but most likely you're not playing this year, which is honestly maybe the best thing for Brandon Sorsby in that situation. At least that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah.
But absolutely, a team with 3 first round picks, they'd gladly give up a second rounder for him.
And here's something I'll throw out to you just as I'm kind of spitballing some ideas and some names. Pittsburgh, you
Mm,
have you have Aaron Rodgers,
mhm.
and he has said, I'm done after this year.
Yep.
So we don't have to worry about that debacle in the offseason. I know they take Drew Lar, and I was pretty high on Drew Lar
Right.
coming out of the draft. I like Drew Lar. I think if he can get back to 100%, he has the skills to be a good quarterback. I'm really big on him, and I think he could be something. Will Howard is a guy that Pittsburgh really likes, a guy that you really liked
Yep.
in Pittsburgh as a Steelers fan. But hear me out. These guys are late round picks. It's going to be some work to get these guys to that level. Sorsby, obviously, he's got work like anybody does. But I cannot emphasize enough how big this could be for a team. He could have been a first round pick. I know I've said it a lot here in this little segment.
Yep.
He could have been a first round pick, and this is a chance for teams. Obviously, for the Steelers, it would be absolutely no rush. You've committed so much money to Aaron Rodgers, you're not going to think about it. Just like last year, you brought in Will Howard, and you thought, well, maybe Will Howard competes. Not really. Even when Aaron Rodgers
Mm-mm.
struggled, Aaron Rodgers played. It could be another year for Sorsby to just kind of settle down, and with a new head
Yep.
coach, this could be a really good situation for Sorsby. Good defense, gets a chance to sit down and learn from a veteran, a future Hall of Famer, multiple time MVP in Aaron Rodgers, and in a new coaching staff, a new era where he could get comfortable and really set this team up for success. So I know you worry about the off the field stuff, the gambling. Obviously, you're hoping again that that's better. It is something to think about. But talent wise, this could be a huge jump start to the Pittsburgh Steelers and maybe kind of cut off that semi rebuild gap that they might have to go through post Aaron Rodgers next season.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I'm gonna throw out 3 wild cards, and this will probably most likely wrap it up because number one,
Yeah.
neither of us want to be here doing this till 10 p.m. Let's just say it like it is. Neither one of us want to be doing this. I'm gonna throw 3 wild cards at you that I don't think it could happen, but if it would, I get an argument for it. Number one, Minnesota Vikings. I think Minnesota Vikings is a bit of a wild card here. You worry about the future of JJ McCarthy. Kyler's on a 1 year cheap deal where if that sucks, you don't got to worry about him next year. And you can let JJ walk in free agency and bring in Brandon Sorsby to compete with him. I think that's one. Again, I don't think that'll happen, but it's one that if it did, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense.
It's a team that crossed my mind too. The JJ McCarthy situation is kind of what makes the Vikings jump out to you. I think Kyler's going to be good, and I think he'll end up getting kind of an extension.
Yeah.
That's coming from a guy who's very big on Kyler Murray. I don't think he's going to be like MVP or All Pro necessarily, but I think he's going to be good in the offense. I think he's committed to the Steelers, and he likes what he sees there. And I think they're going to like what they see out of him. But yeah, with the JJ McCarthy situation, maybe you worry about having to pay Kyler Murray or whatnot, or maybe he can maximize his value in the free agency next year. So with JJ McCarthy, it seems like they've kind of lost some faith after last year. It is a team that definitely crossed my mind.
Another one I'll throw at you, Atlanta Falcons, I think is one to definitely keep an eye on. Tua on a super cheap deal. Michael Penix has had injury concerns. Of course, I don't want this to happen because I want Michael Penix to succeed.
Me too.
Of course, the Michael Penix Jr. Bold Take Podcast Player of the Year. If you know, you know. But it's definitely another one to consider there with those two guys kind of one on a cheap deal and one near in the end, and one Michael Penix, who, again, this was the question mark whenever drafting him. I mean, he's what, 26 already, and he's played not even a full season as a starter yet. So I think that's another one to consider. One last one I will throw out as a wild card here. I think the Indianapolis Colts are one to consider because there's been rumors they're looking to move on from Anthony Richardson. And Daniel Jones, he signed that 2 year extension. I get that. I get that. It's only 2 years, though, which leaves very much, I'm sure there's options, and I'd have to go dive into his contract specifically to know that for sure. But only a 2 year deal. He could sit there, be the backup behind Daniel Jones for a year or two, and then he takes over. So again, to me, I'm with you. I think Cardinals, Jets. I'll tell you this much. I think the Browns, I think, are one, even though they have like 10 million quarterbacks. I think they would consider him. I think the Miami Dolphins might consider looking at him with Malik Willis on that deal. I know they just signed him, but we don't know how good Malik Willis will be as a starter. We truly don't know, and that's a 2 year deal. So there's a number of teams, but like we said, it's a bidding. And all it comes down to who's the highest bidder. And that could be a team that we don't even expect, Austin. That could be a team coming out of left field and be like, yeah, we'll give up a second or third rounder for him. Or let's say, and remember the thing, if you don't bid on him, then you don't lose any draft picks. So some teams I'm sure will value that and weigh that. But any final thoughts here, Austin? Then I'll let you go. I know we've seen too much of each other today, but
Hey, it's always a good time to come on and talk sports. And I'm glad we kind of get to do this. It's almost a little bit fun to have the like sudden rush to the computer and
yeah.
get to it. But yeah, kind of the points you bring up a good point with Atlanta, which is something I didn't really consider. But you're right. The Penix timetable isn't the same as it is for a lot of rookies. Obviously, the injury concerns, we've seen that kind of fall into the NFL, and already being an older rookie when he came in, and like you said, already 26 years old. So, if you're not confident here in these next 2 years of Michael Penix, it might be time to move on, even if he hasn't been bad per se, but injury prone, not on the field. This could be a good opportunity to get somebody else. Um, so I am with you that there are a lot of options. And like you said, it could be anybody. Maybe people lowball it and think they can get him for something cheaper than what it's expected.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, maybe the Detroit Lions end up with him as a backup or something.
Exactly.
Just a team I throw out there just because I think of you've got Goff, and he's getting a little bit older. I'm not saying they're trying to replace him, but if you could spend a third round pick next year and get a guy with first round pick talent, why not maybe just throw it out there? So I think it's all interesting. And it'll be interesting to see where he ends up if, of course, the NFL does approve it, which I think they will.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think they will too.
I think it would be. I understand the stand that the NFL would be taking by saying you're not allowed to play here because of the gambling, but I think with it being kind of already in the past and not being this prevalent issue, and he says he's sought out help, he's in therapy, he's trying to recover. I think that's enough to me as Commissioner
Yeah.
Goodell to say let's at least give him the chance and we watch him like a hawk.
Yeah. Goodell thrives when it comes to storyline opportunities. And sure enough, he'll get this opportunity. Like I said, I think the thing that'll help Sorsby is he willingly admitted it and went into rehab, like made that a public thing, say,
Yeah. Yes.
I did this. I'm going into rehab for it. So again, like I said, they'll monitor him. We'll wait and see. We don't know the official date of the supplemental draft or when that will happen. And like I said, it all comes down to if Sorsby gets approved, because if he's not approved, there will be no supplemental draft because there will be no eligible players for this. But ladies and gentlemen, little extra ending here. Second week in a row we've had to cut in with
Yeah.
second try. I hope this doesn't become a regular thing, but this part could be fun. The breaking news thing. Let us know if
Yeah.
you enjoyed it. But that being said, we are done for sure now. That's it for this episode of the Bold Take Podcast. That's Austin Hill. I'm Austin Wader, and we want to thank you for listening.